And so at the same time I started researching Arabic arts and Islamic arts. So first and foremost, Arabic calligraphy. And this is the second page from my very beginning of my Habibi notebooks. And Arabic calligraphy is the first thing that captured me. It's been described as music for the eyes, which is this notion that really resonates for a cartoonist. Because actually Chris Ware talks about comics as typography, and he talks about comics as sheet music, where the reader needs to know how to read the notes to unlock the musicality. He says that comics are pictures that you read. Meanwhile, Arabic calligraphy are these words that you can just look at, that you can appreciate for their visual aesthetics and their fluidity and their musicality. I think also that in this form of very ornamental, like handwriting, that's something I'm kind of pursuing in my own comics work. I think of cartooning as a shorthand, a cursive, handwritten form of drawing. And I am always aiming for that musicality. So anyway, I'm digressing, but it all started with Arabic calligraphy. And then I went through this phase of just sort of collecting images in my sketchbooks. This is November 2003, a long, long time ago. At first, if I saw an image that I responded to, I would just copy it in my notebooks. And I didn't know where these would go. It was just a way of absorbing. It's that exciting part of creativity where you're like in a very consumptive place and you're just like soaking up lots of inspiration. And in these same sketchbooks, I started collecting ideas. So first there was images, then there were ideas. Although the images never leave either. These are very similar to my school notebooks where I'm filling up the margins with doodles. But this is when I started to research a lot of different things and collect these ideas. And as I filled up notebooks, more and more images crept in. It's sort of unavoidable. I never separate drawing from the writing process. And then in the very same sketchbook, I started the first draft of Habibi. Just working straight ballpoint pen on a page in one panel after the other. This is January 2004. So again, very long time ago. But yeah, at that point I sort of had this floating outline for the book in my head. And so I was ready to just start drawing panel 1 and then panel 2. And I worked this way for, I think, a week and a half before I took 9 months off. That's hard to account for. Well, 6 months of that was Blanket's tour. So I was actually on Blanket's tour for $6 months. So that took up a lot of energy. And I was also displaced. I didn't have a home at the time. It was just sorting out a lot of post sort of Blankets sort of details. There was business stuff to sort out, and then there was some health issues, which people ask about in Carnet de Voyage. I talk about this hand pain. So I made recovering my health a focus. I didn't know where I would settle down again, but I ended up back in Portland. And it was 9 months later, the duration of a pregnancy, that I set myself up in a new home, a new apartment in Portland, and continued with this draft. And interestingly, in terms of this sketchbook draft, little Zam down there in the corner grows up in the course of a single page and then awakens 9 months later into sexuality and into lust. So that's a big theme of the book. And then I just continued to fill up sketchbooks with comics panels and ballpoint pen. Just one panel after another. Here, this is page 138, page 193. One panel after another. They all flowed until finally they didn't. And this is literally what happened. I always knew what the next panel would be, and then it just came this day where I didn't at all. And I went back and reread everything, and it all felt very flat and lifeless to me. And this was kind of a spell that Habibi cast on itself. The book is about water crisis. It's about drought, environmental drought, but not just this overarching water crisis drought, but also different forms of drought for the characters. So there's emotional drought and sexual drought, and then for me there's these bouts of creative drought. This was the first major one.